Good morning, students. In previous lecture, we discussed about simple permanent tissues, and today we'll discuss complex permanent tissues of plants. As we have already done that plants contain basically two types of tissues, meristematic and permanent. Permanent tissues are of further two types, simple and complex, on the basis of type of cells present in them. Complex permanent tissue is basically of two types, and this is actually the main vascular tissue of plant. Means it helps to conduct materials. As you can see here, the tissue which conducts water from the roots to the upper parts of the plants is called xylem, and the tissue which transports food from the leaves to the other parts of the plants is called phloem. So these xylem and phloem are two types of complex permanent tissues. Firstly, we'll discuss what are complex tissues. Complex tissues are actually a type of tissues which are made up of different type of cells having different origin, but they collectively perform and they coordinate to perform a specific function. And the specific function which is performed by these complex permanent tissues is conduction. Hence, they are also termed as vascular tissues, and they are present in the form of vascular bundle. As you can see in the diagram, they are present in the stem in the form of vascular bundles. So they are either scattered in the form of these bundles, or they are arranged in the form of a ring, and the entire space is filled with the ground tissue, which is a kind of simple permanent tissue. The vascular bundles are basically made up of complex permanent tissues. First type of complex permanent tissue is called xylem. Xylem is a kind of vascular tissue, as we have already discussed, and it is present in all vascular plants, excluding only the simple plants which do not have vascular system to conduct water. So the basic tissue which conducts water in all advanced plants is xylem. And xylem is consisting of four types of cells, as it is a complex tissue which is made up of different types of cells. So these different types of cells are called components of xylem, and there are four types of components: tracheids, vessels, xylem parenchyma, and xylem fibers. And here you can see in the diagram also, tube-like structures, tracheids and vessels are the basic conducting channels of plants, and xylem parenchyma and xylem fibers, which are a kind of xylem sclerenchyma, are also present, which actually coordinate to perform the function of conduction of water. And out of these four types of components, only xylem parenchyma is living. Other three components become dead at maturity. Tracheids and vessels collectively form a continuous channel throughout the stem. As you can see here in the diagram, all these tracheids and vessels, they are connected. All these cells are actually connected to each other to form a long column throughout the stem and the branches of the plant, where it helps to conduct water and minerals from roots to every part of the plant in upward direction only. And remember this thing, that the transportation of water takes place only in one direction. This is a kind of unidirectional movement, and which takes place only in upward direction. And movement of or transportation of water doesn't require any energy. So this is a kind of passive transport. Hence, the cells of the xylem are dead. They don't require energy for this transportation, and these cells do not have any end walls between them, and hence they form a continuous channel. And these xylem parenchyma cells actually help to store food, to provide actually these are the living cells only, so they are providing food to other components of xylem. And xylem fibers are actually lignified cells which provide mechanical support to plant. And xylem is actually responsible for the woody texture of the large trees. Next type of complex permanent tissue is phloem. Phloem is another vascular tissue which helps to conduct food or nutrients throughout the plant. It consists of four types of cells, which are called the components of phloem. As it is a complex permanent tissues, so had different type of cells. First one type of cells are sieve tubes or sieve plates, which are collectively called as sieve elements. Companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers or phloem sclerenchyma. So these are four components of phloem tissue. Out of these four components, only phloem fibers are dead. Other components are living. So here this is the basic difference between xylem and phloem, that phloem consists of living cells because the movement of nutrients through phloem is a kind of transportation which requires energy. And here you can see in the diagram, sieve tubes are connected at the end with the help of a sieve plate, and these sieve plates are actually a kind of structure which have small perforations, small holes through which the food can be transferred. And here you can see the diagram where you can find all sieve tubes are connected with these sieve plates, and which collectively form a kind of channel having these end walls with perforations through which food and nutrients can move upward as well as in downward direction. Hence you can say that movement of material through phloem channels are a kind of bidirectional movement, means food can be transported upward as well as in downward direction. As you know that food is formed in the form of glucose in leaves by the process of photosynthesis, and this get dissolved in water and in soluble form of organic substances. This material is transferred from phloem to various parts of the plants like stem, roots, fruits or other parts where photosynthesis is not at all taking place, and this movement is occurring in both direction. It's a kind of bidirectional movement. And the basically sieve elements are the main conducting cells of phloem. Companion cells, actually they are called companion because they are providing help in conduction by storing food or storing that material which they collect from the leaves for some time, and then they shift that material to sieve elements which get transported further. So in this way they provide a kind of help in conduction. Phloem parenchyma helps to store food for different components of phloem, and phloem fibers being lignified, they provide a kind of mechanical support to phloem vessels. Here we can comparatively see the movement of material from xylem and phloem. The tracheids in xylem, they form a kind of continuous channel where no end walls are present between the cell, whereas in phloem these conducting channels are separated by the help of end walls which are called sieve plates having perforations. Unidirectional movement is taking place from xylem, whereas bidirectional movement is taking place in phloem cells. Now we will differentiate xylem and phloem. Xylem is a part of vascular bundle that delegates to transport water and minerals from roots to other parts of the body. Whereas phloem is the second part of vascular bundle that delegates to conduct food or nutrients from leaves to other part of the plant. So xylem is actually transporting inorganic materials, whereas phloem is responsible to transport organic substances. Xylem is consisting of four components named tracheids, vessels, parenchyma and fibers, whereas phloem consists of sieve tubes, companion cells, phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers. Function of xylem is to conduct water and minerals in upward direction, and phloem is performing the function of conducting food formed by photosynthesis from leaves to other parts. Movement is unidirectional in xylem, whereas it is bidirectional in phloem. Xylem cells are basically dead and they have lignified cell walls, whereas phloem cells are mainly living cells and do not have lignified deposition. Xylem cells are mainly dead, whereas phloem cells are mainly living. Energy requirement is not there in the movement of water and minerals through xylem, whereas the kind of active movement taking place in phloem which requires energy. And xylem tissue is actually located inside the vascular bundle towards the center of the vascular tissue, whereas phloem is located at the outer to the vascular bundle of the plants. So hence vascular bundle collectively formed of xylem and phloem, two types of complex permanent tissues, and which are made up of these different type of cells. Hope the things are clear to you all. Thank you and have a nice day.